Okay, thank you. So, hello everyone, and welcome to our another UiPath community event in UiPath Community Singapore chapter. Thank you so much for joining. And I see that almost all of us are from very diverse locations across the globe, and that's the beauty of webinar. So, thank you so much for joining again. And to begin with, let me quickly introduce you to the UiPath Community Singapore chapter. So if you are already a participant or a subscriber of our chapter, then thank you so much for that. And if not, then all you have to do is just go to this link and join us here so you can stay up to date with our upcoming events. So today's event is all about mastering UiPath Test Suite. And the beauty of this event is that we have two masters of UiPath Test Suite product. One is Priyank and another is Ashok. And in this session, we are going to see amazing new components and various components such as Test Manager, also new updates on Test Suite, what is happening with Test Suite in the recent updates of UiPath. Right? Also, if you want to see any of our past events, you can simply just traverse through past events and you can also see the recordings of those events. We have done several amazing events such as document understanding best practices. We have had a local meetup in Singapore last month, which was about the communications mining, and we will keep on pushing new updates and new sessions in this chapter. So stay connected, and I hope you enjoy this chapter. Also, before I begin or before I hand it over to Priyank, I just want to tell you all that around the end of this session, there's going to be a small quiz about this session. The questions will be very much relevant to the session, and the winner of the quiz will get some goodies from UiPath. So stay tuned, listen very carefully, and ask a lot of questions to the presenter. And with that, I will hand it over to the session to Priyank. Priyank, over.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining. I'm sharing my screen. Let me know if you are able to see it. Mr. can confirm, is it in a full screen mode?
Yes,
okay,
yes, it is.
Yeah, perfect. So today's session, as Mr. mentioned, we'll be having a knowledge sharing for UiPath Test Suite. It's being launched in 2 years' time and being booming in the market. And I want to showcase what's the capability of UiPath Test Suite and why we should adopt it moving forward, and how it will be beneficial for us when we are planning to expand our automation capabilities. In today's agenda, I'll be covering the automation market, test automation market, challenges with legacy testing tools, introduction to UiPath Test Suite, demo, use case studies, and then Q&A. The test automation market is huge. As we all know, every project implementation requires a testing to be there in regressive and incomplete mode. If it's not complete or regressive, then it's defect prone. And if any issues come up in production, then the confidence of user client will go down. It will take more time to fix it. It will be additional effort for the project team who is implementing it. So in all perspective, it's a loss if you're not doing a proper testing for any project. It's a $36 billion of market being captured by the testing service companies, which makes it a high potential where a rich testing tool will have place in. The existing tools we have in market for testing has certain limitations, like we can't do the desktop application automations full-fledged. It doesn't give the end-to-end automation flexibility. If it comes to the advanced skills like OCR, NLP, machine learning, and computer vision, that's not possible with it. And even if we integrate those tools with that, we need to compromise our ecosystem. The beauty of UiPath Test Suite is industries who are already having UiPath enterprise environment, they do not need to buy additional testing tools, components for that. Like orchestrator is already there, which will be a major component of test suite. And the studio in which the test cases will be created on, it's already there for them. They just need to opt for the test manager, test robot licenses, and then the test manager hub. We will not be requiring any additional skills for test suite. The resources working on the RPA developments, they can easily build the test cases using the same platform they use for their RPA development, which is UiPath Studio. UiPath Test Suite is a one solution for testing applications and automations. We can do the testing of our existing processes, existing robots. Companies having more than 50 robots always have a challenge. If any application change happen or any change request happen, they always do the manual testing. Manual testing meaning they run the bots in their UAT environment, monitor the logs in orchestrator, and even for their SIT and UAT, there is no track for it. If we use a test suite, we will be having a track of all the automation results, test cases, which can be shown in a report. A user can see it, and then will have a confidence before deploying the process. If any change happen in the application, then we can have the UiPath test cases to run first, which is already existing one. So it's a reusable components. Once we create it, we can reuse every time. We do not need to do the manual testing again and again. And we can have our multiple stage verifications in our robot. Second type of testing we can do is application testing. If new application comes in industry, let's say Workday or Salesforce, any ERP, for such heavy applications, we need to rely on the testers or specific skills if using any testing tool for that. But with UiPath Test Suite, we can adopt it in our own UiPath environment. No requirement of additional resource skills. Existing resource can work on it. And the test cases, users even can manage it using Test Manager. I will be talking about the UiPath Test Suite components moving forward. We have the Test Manager. If no one knows about UiPath Test Suite, then they wouldn't be heard of Test Manager. It's an additional component which is required for Test Suite. You have a studio and orchestrator, much be well aware of, because we have been doing robotic process automation using it for a long time. UiPath Test Suite Manager is a web application which can be launched by user on their system, no need for any installations, and they can manage test cases over there. They can even execute test cases over there. No need for them to go in orchestrator and execute. With a test manager license, with a tester license, they can go in test manager, and then they can view the reports. They can create a defect also. We can integrate ALM tools with the test manager. ALM tools like Jira or ServiceNow, which makes the test suite a 360 automation. We can create defects, which can go in ALM. We can create a CI/CD pipeline, which is continuous integration and continuous deployment. Sorry. Okay. Now we can automate the UI or API technologies as well. There are 40 plus ALM integration UiPath Test Suite offers. And it's a reusable automation, same like our RPA. Existing developers can create the automated test cases effortlessly because the test manager is really easy to integrate with test cases. I will show you in my demo how we can do it. Users can execute the test cases manually or automated. There are two options for them using Test Manager. They can see the reporting and dashboarding in a quick overview in the Test Manager. And the third screenshot we see here, user can create a defect also. And that defect can go directly to the existing ALM tool. All these things I will show you moving forward in my demo. For UiPath Studio, we have two UiPath packages. One is for verification. So there are different set of verifications we can do for our existing robots or on application. Like if any element exists or not. If a form is filled, then how it looks like. We can even take the screenshots, and those screenshots a user can view in Test Manager. That's how exhaustive logs it did here. We can create a synthetic test data generation also using UiPath Test Suite. It's a drag and drop functionality again. And we can get thousands of records if it's required a new name, the first name, last name, or email ID, or some amount which is required to create a loan application. So if we have such kind of scenario, so we can regressively test our application by creating a synthetic test data. Okay. Moving forward for UiPath Orchestrator, we are well aware of it. It is used to orchestrate the processes we have deployed. It is used to distribute execution with schedules and triggers. We can audit and control the role management of users using Orchestrator. We can create the logical test sets in Orchestrator and tag our test cases with that. Same we can do in Test Manager also. In demo, we'll cover that part. The benefits of Test Suite, we have the Test Manager, which manages test. User can manage it. It's a web application. Studio, where the scripts are being developed. Orchestrator, which is used for audit, manage, and distribute tests. Robots, where the test will be run. While running the UiPath test cases, it requires an additional license, which is a tester robots. Okay. Test Suite is built for speed in age of acceleration. We can do whatever we want to do with our project, with our testing implementations. We can do the mobile automations. We can do the CI/CD, as I mentioned earlier. It has a version control for test cases. If any change happen, we can see in the version control. We can revert to our old codes also. For version control, we can connect to Jira, Azure repository, and different version controlling. We have the data-driven testing, where a user can put hundreds of test data to be tested by a test case. And that particular repository, it can be Excel file, will be consumed by the test case to run. We have the analytics and reporting, manual testings we can do, ALM tool integration, RPA testing, Citrix automation. Same tools, same skills used. It makes it very fast to develop it, makes it very fast for testing. Less maintenance required, existing environment we can leverage for Test Suite. It's 70% more reusable. We can transit our existing robots to the test robots. I will show you how we can do it. It's very easy to do it. Just go in your workflow, right click, and then we can convert that existing robot to the test case. Previously, the intent for development purposes only for the non-production UiPath robots. If we do not use a test suite, we use RPA for testing. It was a high effort required for managing test cases. There's no central repository for logs and for seeing the reports. And it allows only full workflow testing, which is a black box. If we need to have a multi-stage verifications. It was not there. We need to run the whole bot, and we can just see the bot is failed of us. But with respect to the test suite test cases, we can have a multi-stage verifications where we can see our bot has passed how many pointers or how many pointers got failed. So that gives us a detailed knowledge of our robot performance, which we call here white box. Test Suite provides flexibility in managing and reusing test cases across projects. We can scale with confidence with Test Suite. Earlier, as I mentioned earlier, even we are doing the manual testing, it's not foolproof. We did it completely or regressively. But now, and also it was very time consuming, it was slow, and higher rate of maintenance was required. Right now, when we have the test suite, we can create our test cases, publish it to the test manager. User can run it whenever they want, and it's reusable. It accelerates the scaling. Whenever any change happen in application, user can test it or developer can test it using the reusable test cases which they used earlier. That makes the maintenance costing low and speed of deployments. We have the CI/CD implementation with Test Suite, where we can have Jenkins integrated with the Test Hub. We can have for defects integrated ALM like Jira. And how it goes, when the developer is doing any changes, they commit their code, it goes to the version control. As soon as any change happen, the ALM tool recognize any change. The CID pipeline got triggered. The Jenkins goes into the build. And in that pipeline, we can have the certain number of test cases to be run for robot. So Jenkins will be running the test cases for that robot where the change happened. If all the test cases passed, whatever we have integrated with Jenkins, then it can go to the next stage in that pipeline, which can be the deployment to the UAT environment, or deployment to the production environment. That's how it can speed up the deployment and how we can have the visibility of the testing. It makes it quite visible to everyone with reporting because the testing was not manual. And it's all logged for the auditing. Personally, I like this implementation, really cool. When we have the agile software development, it requires continuous change in build and testing and deployment of those components. If we use CI/CD implementation, then as soon as any change is pushed, the Jenkins will be triggered to deploy the test cases. If all pass, then only deployment happens. There's no need for the approvals for deployment. There's no time wasted for people to recheck everything, results, and then deploy with less confidence, because they need to rely on the results what developer provided to them. We can quickly triage and act on test failures. Whenever any issue happens, it can be raised directly to the ALM tool using automation, or it can be created manually. I will show you both options in my demo. Okay. I quickly cover my demo, and I will try to cover each and every aspect of Test Suite so that it will make a 360 learning with 360 automation tool. Let me reshare my screen in full mode. Okay, I hope you guys are able to see my screen. Okay. In my demo, I use the UI Bank application, which is developed by UiPath for presenting the demos. And in that UI Bank application, I will be using Test Suite to test whether my test cases and the data provided by the user are running fine or not. I quickly present how the UI Bank application looks like first. Okay, let me run the bot directly. Okay, first I run it. Now, when I'm going to run it, I will run it from Test Manager. In Test Manager, as I mentioned earlier, it's a web-based application. We have dashboard requirements, test cases, test sets, test results, project settings, and where the user can come and then run the test sets. The test sets are a set of test cases, and the test sets can be run using manually or automatically. Here, this is my test set. First, I will run it, then we'll see how I build it. My test set is containing test cases, and I will going to execute it automatically. That's how here it's working. And this is the UI Bank application where loan application form is filled by the bot, and the bot is testing whatever it has filled. Is it correct or not? Is the submit button is available or not? These testing it is doing. And also after filling the loan application, is it got approved or not? These 3 pointers, the test case is testing on using the test data, what user has provided. The scenario I have taken is a test data driven test scenario where the data is provided by user in an Excel file and which was consumed by this test case. So there are different set of test data here, and we will be seeing the different results in the test manager. Okay, so as you can see, there were 4 test data, 4 records on which the test case ran. 1, 2, 3, 4. Among those, 2 failed, 3 failed, 1 passed. Now, the next step for user is pretty much interested in seeing why it got failed. Then they will go in that test case to see the logs. And we can see the very first pointer, verify control attribute, was passed, which is the output value of result, submit application loan, was equal to the submit loan application. So it was a check whether the submit button, which is having a name, loan application, was present or not. So it was present. Now, the second which it failed is the loan was rejected. And here we can see the screenshot because it was configured in the test case. If it failed, then give us a screenshot from where a user can understand. And there are more details on it, why it was failed, the reason of it. So the different verifications we can put in here. Now, when it is a defect, the user want to highlight to developer because user think the data what I provided is correct. The application has some business rule configured wrong. In that case, the user will go here and then create the defect. As soon as they create the defect, it will be logged into Jira. Because in my scenario, I have integrated Jira application for the defect management. So it will go to the Jira. Yeah, I'm struggling to hide this small window which is coming on my screen. Just give me a while. Okay, perfect. It's gone now. Okay. This is my Jira instance on which when the defect was created, then we can see the defect is logged here, which later on then the developer will work on it and then see what the issue was created. These screenshot the logs, and then they can provide their analysis and then they can fix it. As soon as it's fixed, then it can be shown to the user the defect is fixed. So defect status can be seen here. Okay. That's how we can do the testing, but how I did it. So I need to cover it quickly with respect to the time we have. Okay. Very first step, I have my existing robot here, which does the submit loan application. To convert it to the test case, what I will do in my studio, I just right click and then convert to test case. As soon as I click here, yeah, I should get a window here when I click on convert. Okay, so this one is convert to workflow. Okay, I need to create a test case from this workflow. I don't want to touch my robot. So create test case. And in that test case, we have the BDD test case framework, which is we have a best practice framework for the testing. What does it mean? I create here next first. The test case name is given. The source of data. In my scenario, I am using the file which user provided with test data. It can also be data service where it's a cloud-based service and user can update, add, delete the test data on the fly, and the test case will consume it. In my scenario, I have used a file and then the test data looks like this. Test data looks like this. It has these column names and then multiple values here. Every column name later on will become the input argument in my test case. How it will be. So if I just go here in this window and then consume this file in my test case, it will show me how many test records are there. If I go with only three will be go in the publish. Okay, I created. Now, this new test case created with a BDD framework where we have the given stage. What are the initialization we need to do with our test case? You can do here. When is having the robot, which I used to create a test case. So it will perform the activities of that robot. And then if I want any verification to be happen as soon as the robot run is complete, I can do ima then. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, the Excel file having the column names, those all becomes the arguments. So all the column names becomes input argument. These input arguments I can pass to my workflow, the robot. So my robot already having the input arguments which are required to run on. And I got these input arguments from my test file. I will put all those here, email address of requester like that. So I will fill everything here. And then I'm good to run my robot, or for my debugging here, from here, debug. Either I can do a debug on a single data or with a variations. If all goes good, I can commit and publish it. Okay. So I show an example which I already created. Here, I'm using the workflow. I have the post verification one condition, which is checking if the application loan status, whatever it is got in the website, is equal to the you have been approved for a loan with UI Bank. If it's not equal, it will raise a log, a negative log, and will fail the test case. Okay. As soon as I created this test case, I can link it to the test manager. To link to test manager, I just need to click here, right click on my test case, go to link to test manager. So that one is already connected. That's fine. So that's how we do it. We can connect to test manager from here. And it just requires a URL of test manager, which we can take from here. It's from till this part. We just will provide over there and the name of the project to which we want to link in. In the test manager, I go to the home page of test manager. We see we have the projects here. One project meaning it can be for one application, which can have different test sets. One test set can have multiple test cases. Okay, so I have created this project here by creating new project like this, giving name, prefix, description. In this project, I have the test sets, which is imported from orchestrator. In my orchestrator, I have the test suite demo folder. In my orchestrator, I can create the test sets, UI Bank loan application, just by clicking here, providing details, and then test set will be using what process. My process is UI Bank. Next, and then I can provide the test case to link in. It will look like this. Yeah. And here we can choose a test case, which can be part of test set. As soon as the test case is tagged with the test set, we can link it from this in test manager. The test manager will show all the available test sets in the orchestrator. From there, I just need to click here and then link. As soon as I link it, I can see the test set in my test manager. From there, I can execute manually or execute automated. Just now I did execute automated and we saw the results. And we can also see the dashboard, which provides me based on filter daily or weekly. I can see how many failed, how many passed, how many open defects are there, which were raised. This is directly linked with Jira in my case. That's why these numbers are still open, because it's never closed in Jira. Activity coverage, we can see how much part of the test case activities were used in a single flow. It can be few of the, if it goes to the if part only in a code, then it's not gone to else. So those part will not be was not covered in my test case. So it will show percentage, 90% activities in a robot was covered. It can be on and off in the test set. We have a that feature here where we can on and off the activity coverage in test sets, but that's fine. I go faster for other important topics. So one is, just now I mentioned, I have the Jira integrated with my test suite, with my test manager. How I did that? Okay. There's a plugin required which needs to be installed in the Jira. So if I open my Jira instance, here we have the apps. I go here in apps, manage your apps in my Jira instance, and we can search for the UiPath plugin. And then once we search, we can see it and then we can install it. Okay. In my case, it's already there. Which we can see here, it's installed, UiPath Test Manager. This is a plugin we need to install in our Jira. And what it requires to integrate with the test manager is, it requires the API key, the test manager URL, the same URL I used in my UiPath Studio to connect the test case to the test manager, same URL. The API key will be generated by the test manager. The API token will be generated by the Jira itself. How we can generate the API token is a simple step, which we'll be doing right away. And in Jira, as I mentioned, it can connect to more than 40 ALM tools. How we do it? We go to the project settings. Here, integration, new connection, X-Ray, Cloud, ServiceNow. In my case, I used Jira Cloud, and I provided the URL of the Jira. I provided my account, what bug it will be raised, and the API key. API key is generated by this, which I copy, and then it will be used here in my Jira instance. Okay. The API token we can create by going in the settings, and there from we can create the API token. There are a few more integrations I did, which I covered now. Test case version control. I am using a GitHub to control my versions. If we see in my UiPath Studio, if I right click here for on my test case, I can see. Just give me a while. So it needs a refresh. Anyways, it's not coming up right now, but we can see the history is here. And from history, we can see what code was changed lately. So that we can check from our Jira instance, from our GitHub instance. In GitHub, all the files we have in UiPath Studio are synced here. And how we can sync it and do our manage control is, we can simply go to home, go to team, and then clone the repository. It will require the GitHub URL, credentials, and also a local location where the files will be cloned. For ALM tool integration, I go for the apps in Jira, install the Jira plugin. From this URL, I create the API token, and API token I used in my test manager, where I integrate the Jira service, where I'm consuming the Jira service. Here, like this. And Jira, we can integrate after doing these configurations. Using the Jenkins integration, we can have a CI/CD implementation, as I mentioned earlier, which is also simple steps like this. Okay, this is pretty much from my side. That's how we can touch all the aspects of our test suite automation. Yeah, now I hand over to Nisarg and Ashok for sharing their use case studies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Priyank. It was really great and amazing. Just a minute. Mute. Just a second. Hey, thank you, Priyank. It was really great. And I'll now hand it over to Ashok, who is the sales lead for UiPath Test Suite in APAC, if I'm not wrong. And so I will hand it over to Ashok now for the further session. And thanks, Ashok, for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, Nissan, can you just confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Great. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone, and thanks for joining. As Nissan said, I'm actually the test suite sales lead for the APJ region. So it's great to have a lot of people on the call today, and good to meet you all. So I work for UiPath. I've been there for about 1.5 years now, and I've been running test suite sales activities across the region. And so it's a great overview there from Priyank on the capabilities of test suite. And he mentioned that, I think he mentioned earlier that it was booming. So yeah, and he's not wrong, right? I mean, end of the day, a lot of what the capabilities of test suite are about is great, just to see this level of functionality. What you need to know is obviously where is test suite in terms of the industry. You know, there's a lot of tools out there. Test automation has been around for a long time. It's a very mature technology. You know, it's been around for a lot longer than, for example, RPA. So it's been around, and so there's a lot of other solutions out there. There's a lot of open source capabilities, etc. So I think from that perspective, it's also worth knowing how it is doing within the industry. And the good news is, from my perspective, and hopefully yours as well, is that he's not wrong, that it is booming. We've got, you know, it's been around, as Priyank said, I think for about 2 years, over 2 years now, you know, coming up to 3 now. And in that time, we are now at the region of, I think, 1,500. Last count was well over 1,500 customers. So it's incredibly successful in that short space of time. And not only that, we have a lot of large customers using it. And what Priyank showed you earlier and the capabilities we have are very key to its success, because it's come from the automation side, right? So right-hand side, if you like, of the production environment coming into the development space. And what that's meant was, and what that's meant really is that a lot of customers have taken it and run with it, and they've seen massive improvements in terms of their efficiencies of testing, how they've been able to operate with test automation going forward as well. And so I'm just going to highlight a few use cases that we've had over the course of that time. This one that we're seeing on screen is NatWest Bank, and anyone kind of who knows anything about banking will know this is a very, very large bank in the UK. It's one of the largest banks. In fact, they process in the region of 1/4 of all transactions in the UK. So very, very large bank, one of the largest in Europe. And they actually ran through an exercise where they've been using open source solutions for a while. In fact, they've been using multiple tools, as you can imagine, for a large bank of this size. They've got pretty much every tool under the sun. One of their key tools was Selenium and Selenium-based solutions as well. The Selenium by itself is very much a web-based application. There's lots of add-ons to Selenium which kind of allow it to do more than just standard web application testing. So, you know, they were looking at solutions, and they were having lots of issues around it because they had multiple thousands of testers across the globe, operating out of, you know, UK, Europe, India, and various other hubs as well. And they were having a lot of issues around the fact that there was a very slow kind of, you know, test automation process due to kind of undeveloped technical skills. And they were looking at having a low-code automation solution. They could increase their agility and their kind of their speed to market. Lots of benefits came out of what they did. They worked with us on a test automation solution. And what they went through was an exercise in trying out multiple kind of pilots across various types of scenarios as well. So you can see there in the solution, they went through a pilot stage for a mobile solution, a SaaS-based solution, a microservices-based payment solution, and also a couple of desktop solutions. They did all these exercises and they found some massive gains in terms of the test creation, test execution, and the reduction in time needed to start that process. So a little bit of kind of just talking around these details there. I mean, what they saw really was that they were 4 times quicker to create the same tests in UiPath than they were in Selenium. So if people on the call don't know, Selenium is a test automation tool itself. So it's an open source tool. It's widely used in the market. And what NatWest found was that it was actually 4 times quicker to create that same test in UiPath without the development overhead required to maintain a set of technical scripts because of the low code approach of UiPath. The other key benefits they saw were also the fact that previously, it was taking their staff 6 to 12 weeks to be productive. So in terms of training, understanding the product, creating those test cases. When they started using UiPath, those same staff were only taking 3 to 4 days to get started and be productive. So a huge gain in terms of how their staff could actually start using the tool and start building those test cases. And the kind of cumulative effort of all of this is that just for one of the test cases around the payment solution, they actually saw savings of around 1,800 hours or 228 man days. This is just for the payments platform. And the actual automated testing across all their activities, the estimate is that they could actually reduce their testing effort by around 50%. This would result in millions of dollars of yearly savings. So a huge kind of a bonus and benefit for NatWest Bank in terms of how they're using Test Suite. Similarly, VMware, a very large organization. Again, hopefully everyone's kind of heard of who VMware are. They're one of the obviously one of the pioneers in the virtual server market, and they were actually a long-time customer of UiPath in the automation space, and they were a very heavy user of automation. But one of the issues with regards to using that level of automation is that you also then have to manage those automations. In the end, RPA is also software, right? Software is something that you have to manage, and that's a testing process around that as well. Now, VMware had in the region of 400 processes automated, over 160 bots deployed, and so they were seeing lots of issues when there were application or environment changes or automation changes. And the biggest issue they were having was around application changes, which were around 60% of the issues that they were seeing. So they came to UiPath and asked for how we could help. And obviously, we talk around UiPath Test Suite as being an application testing solution. It's also available for RPA testing, and especially for UiPath clients. And their key drivers really were that they wanted to become more proactive, improve their automation uptimes, and improve their quality, and therefore then increasing their speed and deployment. And so really what happened was that, they got to a stage where once UiPath Test Suite was deployed, they were seeing massive gains again. And again, you can see the numbers there in terms of the number of manual hours of manual effort saved, 650,000 plus hours saved. One of the key benefits they saw was the reliability and the reduction in error rate, both over 90%. So what that meant was they were getting to a stage where 96% of their automations were now working, which is huge compared to where they were. So a massive gain in terms of where they were and where they're going from here. And they're a big user in terms of wanting to now go to the next level in terms of usage of Test Suite across their whole application testing environment. The third use case that I've got is Orica. Orica is actually close at home for all of us in APJ. They're actually based in Australia, but they're a global mining company, and they're actually one of the largest mining companies in the world. And this is close to home and is close to my heart because I was actually involved in this project. This is a company who are looking at migrating from their old SAP release to the newest release, which is S4HANA, but also wanted to look at application testing in terms of the integrations they have into the SAP environment as well. And they'd already chosen another tool for their testing. We were actually talking to them about automation in general, and they wanted to look at what UiPath could provide as both as a testing solution and as an overall platform solution for their automation as well. And in the end, what happened was that we actually did a successful POC against a couple of vendors that they were already looking at. And end of the day, they've now chosen UiPath to be their automation platform of choice, beginning with test automation. So they want to deploy test automations for their S/4HANA upgrade that they're going to be going through soon. But the key drivers really, and the reason UiPath won, were the figures again there. And for me, when we were involved in this project, what was really good to see was how we could actually work alongside and against other competing solutions which were in the market and have been established in the market for a long time. And so you see there, for example, in the 2x section, we were both twice as fast in the test creation, so the test build process, also twice as fast in the test execution. So both across the build of the test automations and then the execution of the test automations, we were twice as fast. And when you look at customers like Orica and other organizations that have thousands of test cases, that's a massive, massive difference in terms of how they can work and the cost savings and time and efficiency savings they can see. The last one that I've got is just is a couple of use cases actually. So we've got a couple of companies, Chipotle, who are one of the largest fast food vendors in the US, and another company, Cisco, who I'm sure everyone is aware of, obviously the largest networking company in the world. Now, our customers are creating what they call an enterprise automation library, based on what Priyank showed you earlier, this reusable library component, which really acts as a marketplace for these reusable automations. And what this means is these reusable automation components are maintained and versioned in one central location, this enterprise automation library. And that's what our customers are now doing for all their reusable automations for applications such as CRM, ERP apps, mobile, web, mainframe systems, etc. And according to our customers, this is a big opportunity for testing teams to be perceived as value centers as well. So anyone here who's a tester is now able to actually be part of the value creation for an organization, because testing teams can now contribute significantly to the overall value creation of the organization through their kind of automation expertise in a very, very visible way. So these two stories here of customers who actually did that. So Chipotle first used UiPath only for RPA and then decided to also use it for test automation. So they achieved 3 times faster test automation in terms of runtime and 10 times faster RPA development. Cisco came from the other side. They were actually using UiPath for test automation for their applications. And you can imagine Cisco is a very, very complex environment. They were using multiple applications, custom applications, also, COTS applications like Oracle, Pega, MuleSoft, Salesforce, just to name a few. And obviously with those applications, they were also integrating with a lot of third-party systems, including a lot of government systems. And what they saw when they implemented Test Suite was they experienced 5 times faster automation, 50% less maintenance. And they went from 30% test coverage in their automation to 90% in just 6 months of implementing Test Suite. And that had test automation solutions in that time as well. So they really struggled to actually get large scale coverage of their automations. And that changed completely when they got Test Suite, going up from 30 to 90% in just 6 months. But the key kind of thing for both of these organizations and what they've both got in common, and the reason we have them kind of together here, is the major 7-digit savings they actually achieve through sharing and reusing around 70% of their automation components. Now, in simple terms, what this really means, in the simplest term that we can make it, is that 70% of all the automations created by the RPA teams on the business side, they had already been created by the test automation teams in software development. So you can imagine what that means. That means basically all the automations that you're creating in your software development environment when you're doing your test automation, 70% of that is being used for the process automations that you're running in your production environment. And that's kind of the key unique differentiator of having a single automation platform. I'm quickly going to touch on what we're doing at the moment with regards to our newest release. 23.4 is our newest release. And the reason I'm showing this is also to talk around the innovation, and a lot of people here will want to see, well, what are UiPath doing? And part of the reason I bring this up is because there's been a lack of innovation in the test automation, kind of arena for a long time, and UiPath is investing heavily in Test Suite and test automation. There's a huge kind of future in terms of where UiPath is going to go, and we really want to kind of deliver the kind of the automations that are required for organizations to really achieve what they need to in the software development kind of arena. And so some of these new features around SAP, for example, where we've got a new heat map feature, which is allowing you to actually see how your SAP environment is actually being used from a testing perspective. We're also offering new kind of capabilities around activity coverage to measure activity for RPA workflows, for example. And mobile is a key feature as well. You can see there already that there's some new capabilities coming out with regards to mobile gestures, the ability to automate complex gestures. But what's really key also is that very soon we're also coming out with computer vision for mobile, which is going to be a bit of a game changer in terms of how mobile technology and how mobile applications are to be able to be tested going forward as well. The other key feature, and it's actually just in private preview at the moment, is coded automation. This is going to be the ability to actually integrate coding using C# within your automation workflow. So you can now have a mix of both code and low code stroke no code as part of your automation workflows. And the reason for this is a lot of customers were looking at understanding how they could use enterprise level coding as part of their automation workflows as well, because they're comfortable with coding and they want to do some specific detailed coding around their automations. This capability is now built into UiPath Test Suite. At the moment, it's in private preview, but actually it's coming into the newest release. So when we get to 23.10, we're actually going to have that as a GA capability. You can also see some additional capabilities coming into 23.10 as well. And these are the kind of top features that are going to be planned to be delivered as part of 23.10. So again, you can see there's a lot of capability going into what we're going to be doing, the innovation that's going to be coming into play. And some of the key things, so we're building on the SAP capabilities with change impact mining, which is going to include AI capabilities around being able to understand what your SAP application is doing and how you can actually test it in the correct manner as well. And then we're going to bring in things like AI-based testing as well, which is going to give some additional capabilities around machine learning and bring some new functions to the table in terms of how AI can help you. Obviously, there's a lot of talk around ChatGPT, and Nisarg's already shown some capabilities around that with his videos, but there's going to be some capabilities within the tool set as well to deliver some more capabilities. And that's it for me. I was going to just give you a quick overview of that, so I'm happy to answer any questions. But apart from that, I think that's it for me to show what UiPath brings to the table in terms of Test Suite. And I'll stop sharing at that point.
Thank you so much, Ashok, and it was very helpful. And I mean, literally, I learned so many things today. And specifically, the new updates are super amazing, and everyone really wants to try that. We have a quick one question for you from Noman. Is there a drive for Test Suite which they can enable or they can try this new updates on the community edition?
I think there is a trial edition. So you get a trial edition which allows you 60 days, and I believe that you just choose the version of Studio that you need to use, and that will give you either community or the enterprise edition. So we can provide the link for that. I think we can do that later. I don't know. I don't have it on hand at the moment, but it's definitely definitely available.
Sure. Yes, we'll do that. And now time for the quiz. So I have pasted one link in the chat from which all of you can join this. Also, let me see if I can enable the QR code. Just give me 1 second. All you have to do to participate in this quiz is just go to www.menti.com. I hope everyone can see my screen. Okay, perfect. All you have to do is just navigate to this www.menti.com and enter the code, which is 86218614. There are only 4 questions which are related to today's session. And the fastest person to answer all the questions will get some UiPath goodies. So it's exciting. I see we have 50 participants, and I see we have only 17 people registered now. Oh, wait. I think I started. Is it? Oh, one second. Let me go back. Sorry. We'll wait for another 1 minute for all of you to join in. Okay, I see now we have 23 participants. And shall I start or shall I wait? Anyone in chat?
I think you can start now.
Okay, I think, yes, let's get started. I think I see more than 28 players. Okay, perfect. So here's the first question for you. And the first question is, what type of testing can you perform using UiPath Test Suite? Is it application testing? Is it security testing? I see almost 26 people have submitted their answers. In 4, 3, 2, 1, let's see who is leading. Oh, that's perfect. So I think the message was delivered perfectly by Priyank. Thanks there. Let's see who is leading the leaderboard. So no wrong answer. I have seen this for the first time. That's good. Parvati is leading the board. Okay. And I can see there's one Hamburglar who is second. If you don't get your name and if you win, the goodie goes to me. Okay. Just kidding. Let's go to the second question. So the second question is, which feature in UiPath Test Suite helps in managing, analyzing, and tracking test cases and results? Is it orchestrator? Is it test runner? Or is it test manager? Remember, it's about managing, analyzing, and tracking test cases and results. Okay, 4 people actually got that question wrong. They marked orchestrator, but 22 of them actually marked the correct answer. We'll come back to this later. But yeah, let's see who is leading the board with this one. Is Parvati still leading the board? Let's see. And I think, yes, the fastest one for this question was Barefoot Contessa, but still Parvati is leading the board. Let's go to the third question. Are you guys ready? Okay, so here's the third question. 1, 2, 3, and go. Can we do manual testing using UiPath Orchestrator? Now, this is a tricky question. Can we, Priyank? So this was mentioned by Priyank at a certain point. If you have, so 21 people actually got it wrong. Priyank, before I move to next question, do you want to help me understand here?
You're on mute, Priyank.
Oh, I think, yeah, you're on mute.
Yeah. Able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I showcased in Test Manager. When I ran the test case, there were 2 options in Test Manager. One is execute manually and execute automated. So yes, in Test Manager, we have the execute manually, but in Orchestrator, we don't have. From Orchestrator, we can run and execute automated only. Like we run our normal RPA bots, right? we schedule it from there or run manually. So those options we have for test cases as well on orchestrator, but manually in test manager.
Okay, now let's see who actually got it right and is still Parvati leading the board. So the tables have turned now, and now Hamburglar is leading the board. Whoever is Hamburglar, if you don't reveal your name at the end of the game, the goodie is going to miss, definitely. Okay, I have the last question. So the last question is, it could be tricky, so take your time. Don't be too fast, and here's your question. What is the latest update in UiPath Test Suite, which is just covered by Ashok in his second last slide? If people get this wrong, we will ask Ashok to again repeat the slide. And 4, 3, 2, 1. Amazing. So that means the message is delivered properly, that SAP heat map is the new update and the latest update, which is there in the 2023.4. And actually 5 people got it wrong, which is task capture and execute manually. So these options have been there since long time with Test Suite. As Ashok already mentioned, Test Suite has been there since almost 3 years now in the industry. So yeah, that's about it. And let's see who is the winner. And if Hamburglar is the winner, let's see who gets the goodie. Maybe Priyank. 1, 2, 3. And here's the announcement. So the winner is Hamburglar. Now, please tell me, please tell me who is Hamburglar. Anyone wants to own up to this name? Okay, it's Chinjin Teo.
Shinjin Teo.
Congratulations. Yeah, Chinjin Teo, congratulations. Let me note your name. You can also reach me, or you can just DM me your email ID, and I can.
He's CJ from Simplify Next.
Oh, okay.
Feels like a fix.
Yeah.
He already had the answers.
No, answers only Nisarg and I know. So yeah, CJ didn't know about it.
Well done. Congratulations.
Even Priyank didn't know that. Perfect. So before we close, let's turn on our camera so we can take one quick selfie of virtual meeting, and then we can post it about the success on our social media. Everyone, if you can, please turn on your cameras. Do you have the access? I think, yeah, you guys have the access. Also, if you want to stay back for 5 minutes, you can still ask questions to Ashok and Priyank. We'll keep the session open for Q&A. But before that, let's take one quick capture of happy faces. I'll give it 2 minutes for all of you to turn on your cameras. Oh, I can see everyone. Hi, Sandeep. Hi, Milind. I can see Derek. Hi, Derek.
Hi.
Hi, Vanita. I can see that Michael is sitting just next to some next room. Hi, Michael. Oh, we have the winner here. So winner. Oh, we just want to know why you chose that name. Are you a big fan of burger?
Because
isn't?
the icon is a burger.
Oh, that's why. That's nice. Okay, let's take one quick capture. So everyone smile. 1, 2, and 3. And let me take one more. There's second screen. Just a second. And yeah, we'll take one more screen. Okay, here we go. And 1, 2, 3, smiles. Perfect. So now we'll keep the room open for questions. So if you have any questions, you can ask Ashok, you can ask Priyank. They are still here, I believe, for next 5 minutes. You can ask any questions if you have, you can unmute, you can turn on your camera also, or you can also post your questions in chat.
Otherwise, thanks everyone for joining.
Yes. If there are no questions, then thank you for joining.
Hello. Sandeep here. Hi, everyone. Actually, yeah, I have just one question. Like when we are doing manual testing, so at that time we are also capturing negative testing. So in this test case, how can we capture as a negative test cases? I mean, I just have one question. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, Sandeep. We can have both manual and automated testing for in a single test set. So if we have test case, which is for manual, so manual can be where human judgment is required and cannot be automated, which you can see logo size are correct in the UI of application, and placement of buttons and form is correct as per their expectation. So what user can do, they can check it manually and then pass or fail that particular test case. The test manager will give the options and also can provide the description for that of failure or pass. So that's how we can also raise a defect for that. Does that answer the question?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Any more questions?
I'm good.
I
And
think-
thank you for this session. I mean, it's wonderful. I learned lots of things from today's session. Great.
Thank you so much, Sandeep, for joining. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you especially to Ashok and Priyank for this wonderful session. Looking forward to more sessions, more such sessions in future on the future updates. And see you all again and have a great weekend. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Nice job, Priyank. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you.